There's very few luxury crossovers out there on the market today that can genuinely get me excited and have me coming back for more, especially vehicles that are not performance-oriented or performance-focused and lean more towards being luxurious and comfortable. But the Audi Q5 is an exception. It's a vehicle in my mind that is very well balanced. It's also a personal favorite of mine because I think when you're taking a look at the value that it's offering, it might be unrivaled. Today we're taking a look at the 2024 Audi Q5 Premium Plus. We're going to take a good long look at the exterior, the interior, take it out for a test drive, and see why, if you're looking at buying a luxury compact crossover this year, and you want something that does have some sporty tendencies, but also really focusing on that luxury and family friendliness, then maybe taking a look at the Audi Q5 might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Audi of Falmouth in Falmouth, Maine for inviting me up here to check out their inventory. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out what they're offering in the Portland, Maine area. Also, before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live on the channel. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. When the Q5 was introduced to the product portfolio 15 years ago, few projected this crossover's rise in popularity, as the Germans were still in an arms race for supremacy in the sports sedan and coupe segments. Ushering in a new era for Audi, the Q5 brought some much-needed flexibility to the brand, giving buyers a viable alternative to the BMW X3 and, at the time, Mercedes Benz GLK. Aerodynamic aesthetically, and having the benefit of sharing platforms with the Audi A4, the Q5 quickly demonstrated that by balancing luxury and sport, Americans could enjoy the best of both worlds, while also accommodating a family all at the same time. Starting off with pricing, our model today is a Premium Plus 45 TFSI, coming in at $53,000, and will be the mid-tier trim for 2024, and is likely going to be the best value for Q5 shoppers. Tried and true, Audi has been very successful with this crossover, outselling the BMW X3 and Mercedes Benz GLC in 2023 by pretty wide margins, and some of that most certainly can be attributed to Audi engineering a vehicle for everyone. While the B9 generation isn't the newest crossover in this market, it's one of very few that relies on the intangibles of being practical but also luxurious at an attainable price point. Despite the full paint finish throughout, the Q5's ground clearance of 8.2 inches does provide some utility if you encounter winter road conditions. Aside from the performance benefits of choosing the 45 TFSI, you also receive a sleeker and dynamic design, with the gloss black honeycomb mesh grille likely being the primary aesthetic that draws your attention first. You can double down by choosing the black optic package, removing the brushed aluminum accents for a lower profile look. But either way, this generation has prided itself on having a sophisticated style, one that can be seen across the Audi lineup. The one sacrifice you will be making by choosing the Premium Plus over the Prestige is that you won't have Audi's Matrix design LED headlights. However, that's a minor subtraction that doesn't take away from the overall appearance of the front fascia. Moving over to the side profile, this Q5 is sitting on the standard 19-inch 5 double-arm wheels, but you can choose a set of 20s that come equipped with the black optic package if you want a sportier look to this crossover. For most vehicles at this price point, the tire size we have should satisfy buyers in regards to on-road comfort and diminished road noise. But even with the 20s, Audi's MLB platform has shown its level of refinement throughout the years. You'll have body color folding side mirrors with turn signal indicators to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Then as we make our way around to the back, the Q5's smoother body lines and sloping roofline eliminates the boxier qualities we see in competitors like the BMW X3. While Audi prioritizes a subtle yet classy appearance, even in Q5 form, it has the road presence that would be associated with a fun commuter vehicle and sports crossover. Despite this generation getting up there in age, the rear fascia is timeless, with the LED taillight design and contrasting accents bringing a modern persona to Audi's best-selling crossover. Under the hood, with this Q5 being a 45 TFSI, a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine will produce 261 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Whether it's within the product line for the Q5 or amongst competitors, this is the sweet spot in regards to performance from a full gas-powered SUV, as the linear power band, 5.7 second 0 to 60 time, and overall smoothness of this vehicle is exactly why splurging to enter the luxury market is worth it at the end of the day. While Audi is more than content offering a crossover that's a jack of all trades but a master of none, its well-rounded on-road demeanor might create a bit of an appetite for those desiring a dynamic driving experience. However, as a luxury crossover, it's more than willing to meet your demands. Unlike some of its competitors, all-wheel drive does come standard for year-round versatility if you live in colder regions of the US. And when it pertains to fuel economy, you're looking at right around 22 miles per gallon in the city and 28 miles per gallon on the highway. Ultimately, it's going to be the interior that will be the deciding factor for you, as the simple yet functional dashboard layout, Audi's virtual cockpit, and MMI user interface come together to provide a driving environment that's classy but not over the top. The power adjustable, heated and ventilated leather trim seats on our model sets the tone for what the Q5 is all about, and that's comfort. While not aggressively bolstered, they are supportive, and for longer road trips, we don't think you'll be feeling fatigued behind the wheel. Further keeping you engaged is Audi's virtual cockpit, and if you opt for the navigation package, the map will be displayed from this screen. But you can also customize what you see in front of you and scroll through a variety of information. However, it's Audi's MMI user interface that continues to stand out in an era with dysfunctional and complicated head units found in most rival brands. You'll have a 10.1-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. And since we have the Premium Plus, the Bang & Olufsen sound system will amplify the audio of your favorite music. While exclusively a touchscreen, it is within arm's reach of the driver, and you'll have quick access icons mounted to the left to get you to different menus efficiently. But it's the responsiveness and resolution of this touchscreen that has us coming back for more, especially since Audi continues to offer physical buttons for the climate control settings rather than placing everything on the head unit, like we're beginning to see from BMW and Mercedes Benz. By paying a little extra for the Premium Plus, not only will you receive a rear backup camera, but you'll also have a top view and side angles to help you navigate tight spots in a garage. Then as you make your way towards the center console, you'll have another row of buttons for the drive mode selector, auto start stop, traction control, and hill descent control. And beneath that, you'll have a USB input and 12-volt outlet. Then next to the gear shifter will be the dial for the volume, and you'll also notice that the wood grain trim adds a nice touch to the dashboard and center console. For the center storage compartment, there'll be enough room for smaller items. And then to round out the front seating area, above will be a panoramic moonroof, which will bring in a lot of natural light to the interior. Now quickly taking a look at the second row seating area, legroom dimensions come in at around 38 inches, which is very respectable in this market. That would be on par with the BMW X3 and Mercedes Benz GLC. This is also about 2 inches better than what we see in the Audi Q3. So the Q5 is a worthy upgrade if you currently own the luxury subcompact crossover from Audi. Now, I did not adjust the seat all the way back. This is probably adjusted to someone the height of maybe 5'8" or 5'9". I have plenty of legroom back here, but more importantly is the amount of headroom. Even with the panoramic moonroof, you don't really lose any of that headroom at all, so I think you can have people on the height of 5'8", 5'9", possibly 5'10" sit back here, and they won't be hitting their head on the headliner. But also another thing too is that if you are cross-shopping the Q5 with the Q3, you have a lot more shoulder room as well, and let's see if you can fit that third person in the center. Now moving on to that center seat, you're going to have some great placements for your feet. The center hump is pretty aggressive, so that will take away from legroom and shoulder room. However, there's enough room here where I think you can squeeze in that third person, whether it's an average size adult or a smaller kid, and that is where going with the Q5 is going to be a great choice. Now, a lot of vehicles in this market, you can claim the same, especially with the BMW X3 and Mercedes Benz GLC. But if you're an Audi loyalist who loves the Q3 and you want to make that upgrade, you want to take that next step in the lineup, the Q5 is definitely that choice. And then on the driver's side, the seat is adjusted to someone of my height, around 5'5", and I have plenty of legroom here where I can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the driving experience. Also, another thing too is that these seats do recline a bit by maybe 5 degrees just to maximize that amount of headroom, but also so that you're a bit more comfortable on longer drives. Also back here, we do have 2 rear air vents to go along with climate control, 2 USB-C inputs, a 12-volt outlet, and rounding out the second row seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. And then making your way around to the back, you are going to receive a power liftgate. And inside, behind the second row seats, you're looking at right on 26 cubic feet of room, which would place the Audi Q5 in the middle of the pack in the luxury compact crossover market. It's not as boxy as the BMW X3, which is why we do see a bit more of a limited amount of space, but it's not as hatchback-like like we see with the Mercedes Benz GLC. So it falls right in line with its closest rivals, but also more importantly, you have that sportier design to the exterior, which makes the Audi Q5 look visually appealing. Now, if you're somebody who is cross-shopping the Q5 with the Q3, and you're wondering what might be a better choice for you and your family, go with the Q5. This extra space is going to go a long way, especially if you are going on frequent road trips throughout the year, or you constantly carry luggage with you throughout the week. I was able to fit all my camera gear today, no problem. So that's 3 bags of camera gear, 2 tripods, and a gimbal. And I have plenty more space for other items as well. Maybe go grocery shopping after I film this review. Also, of course, you are going to have a rear cargo cover, which will keep all your valuable items out of sight. So if you are like me and you have camera gear or anything else of value, you can leave them back here and have that peace of mind knowing that nobody will peek in and steal what you have. Then on the left side of the rear cargo area, you will have some netting for some smaller items, maybe a first aid kit. And then on the right, you have a cubby for a couple water bottles or maybe even some car detailing equipment. And then with the second row seats folded, you're looking at right on 54 cubic feet of room, falling right in line with many vehicles in this segment. So if you're just looking for a practical daily driver that is family friendly, and you want that interior space for when you do go up to the mountains to ski and snowboard, or maybe go on some outdoor adventures during the summer, the Q5 will be a great on-road companion. And then once you're done loading up everything in your Q5, just press the button and the liftgate will close automatically. So we're now behind the wheel of the Audi Q5. Let's take this vehicle out for a quick test ride to see how it performs, how it handles, how it drives, how it compares to other luxury crossovers in this market, such as the Mercedes Benz GLC and BMW X3. Just like I said at the beginning of this video, I personally love what the Q5 is offering. It's very well balanced, it's a jack of all trades. It's not necessarily strong in one area over the other. It's not overly luxurious like a Mercedes Benz GLC or a Volvo XC40, but it's not sporty or performance oriented like a BMW X3 or Alfa Romeo Stelvio. It kind of falls right in line and in the middle in this market. If I was to use a fairy tale example, this would probably be the best pick for Goldilocks because it's a nice balance. It kind of gives you everything that you want in a vehicle in this market. Not only when it comes to its performance, of course the transmission as well, but the technology, the on-road comfort, also the value as well. Now, another thing too I like about the Q5 is that it's relatively practical. So it is on par with its closest rivals in regards to interior legroom for the second row, but also of course the cargo space. But I find the Q5 to be a class leader when it comes to the technology. Some people will disagree on that. But with Audi's virtual cockpit, also the MMI user interface, this is far easier to use than what we see in the newer BMWs, but also the Mercedes-Benz GLC. Now, BMW will be making an update to the X3 very soon, and I have a feeling that you will be losing the physical dials that you see on the dashboard. But with the Audi Q5, and I've talked about this numerous times, you have a very ergonomically designed cabin that looks visually appealing just like the exterior, but also is very easy to use. And I think that's why the Q5, in my mind, would be a great pick if you're not focused on that performance and you're not focused on having the most luxurious vehicle out there. Now, when I bring up overly luxurious, I'm talking about soft touch materials on the dashboard, the door panels, really a vehicle that would probably slot into place as a Porsche Macan, and that might be a bit too far out of your budget and out of your range, and that's where I think the Q5, you're not necessarily settling, but you're getting a great value at around $50,000. Now, what is interesting about this particular model, and super rare, you don't see a lot of Q5s up here in New England that have the warm weather package, but we have ventilated seats. So on this model, it's very well equipped, and also you have 3-zone climate control. So there's a lot of features to work with in this vehicle that I think really gives you that upscale refinement and quality you're looking for. I do think, though, that if you are looking for a sportier experience, you're going to want to go with the SQ5. The Q5, even in its most aggressive settings, you don't have the stiffest handling or the most weighted steering, and that's to be expected. Audi really tends to stay away from that for their mainstream lineup, whether it's the A4, A6, A8. You really have to get into the S line or RS line to really get that performance, not only in regards to straight line speed, but also the handling and the suspension as well. But as a daily driver, you are going to have a nice cushioned ride that's going to keep you feeling comfortable on those longer road trips or during those weekday commutes. But also you are going to have that performance on demand to safely get on the highway, as we're going to find out very shortly. The Q5 is a very competent vehicle, can put the power down on demand. And also another thing too, with the Q5, you get the 7-speed DSG, which, when paired with this Turbo 4, you have a nice linear power band. It's very competent and capable as an on-road vehicle. What I also noticed too is that the steering is very snappy and direct, very responsive when you are in the corners and when you're on some winding back roads. Now, at highway speeds, at around 60 miles per hour, road noise really isn't that bad, which I am a bit surprised, because for a vehicle in this market, sometimes you are going to get some of that wind and road noise. But with the Q5, it's relatively quiet in here. Now, one of the big differences with the Q5 over the Q3, if you're looking at making an upgrade, you do feel like you're in a more traditional crossover and SUV. This does not feel like a lifted hatchback or a lifted sedan, although I didn't feel that with the Q3, but this just seems to be a nice upsize where, just from the amount of shoulder room, but also your seat positioning as well, this feels like a more grand vehicle at around $50,000. And we're gonna loop back onto the highway. I will say, though, that there is some body roll associated with the Q5. Again, something that you would expect for the mainstream model for this line, because I would go with the SQ5 if you want more of a performance and enthusiast-focused driving experience. But as a daily driver, this is pretty solid. It's very responsive, and that gives you a lot of confidence when you are in a tight bind or you need to pass a slower driver or a semi. You can definitely do that with this vehicle. In regards to the transmission for a DSG, there's not a lot of clunkiness involved here, and you don't really feel that much turbo lag. Now, the Stelvio and the BMW X3 have a ZF8 speed, which will be more quick shifting, although with a Turbo 4, the ZF8 speed is better with a V6 or inline 6. That's just my opinion, what I've experienced over the last few years. But then compared to the Mercedes Benz GLC, the GLC's 9-speed automatic, yeah, they have retuned it, and it's more responsive. It feels similar to the 7-speed DSG we have with the Q5. But I still wouldn't say it's at the top of the list in this market in regards to its refinement, in regards to when you're accelerating, you can roll through the gears. I'd say probably stick with the 7-speed DSG or ZF8 speed if that is what you're looking for in your next daily driver in the luxury crossover market. But having returned to the Audi Q5 for the first time, I think probably 2 or 3 years, I have to say this vehicle still hasn't thrown me any curveballs. It's a vehicle for a professional. Just the way it's been engineered, the way it's been designed. There's nothing flashy necessarily, but everything comes together really well. Whether it is the powertrain, the transmission, the suspension, this chassis, but even the dashboard layout and the overall interior refinement, it's just very well put together. And while some people who are more tech focused and tech savvy are going to say, well, the Q5 does need to be refreshed very soon, I actually disagree with that. Out of all the vehicles in this market that still offer physical buttons and dials, Audi does it really well. Sure, I think Audi has played it very safe over the last 5 years or so, where they're not doing anything too drastic with their changes that they are making. But if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And as a commuter vehicle, as a family hauler, as a road trip vehicle, I think the Q5 still in 2024 is a great option amongst its competitors. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review of the Audi Q5. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.